Let's rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'm going to ask Councilman and retired Lieutenant Colonel Steve Huppert, if he will lead us.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have no public hearings, so we will go straight into, and I will call the meeting of the Christiansburg Town Council to order. The first thing on our agenda is the consent agenda minutes, council minutes for the 27th.
Mr. Mayor, I have an amendment to the council minutes. It's on section 4, last page. It's just to remove the last sentence and to remove the words "to school" from the previous sentence, and I provided a copy of that to Mrs. Stipes. I would move that we approve based on those amendments.
I'll second that.
Have a motion and a second. Any other comments or suggestions? Hearing none, Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. Councilman Bishop?
Aye.
Councilman Hall?
Aye.
Councilman Hubbard?
Aye.
Councilman Showalter?
Aye.
Councilman Stipes?
Aye.
Councilman Van Hoosier?
Aye.
Would be 6-0, thank you. Under resolutions or recognitions, in front of you, you have a copy of a resolution for Small Business Saturdays. I think I mentioned last week that I was going to bring this up. We would like to, or I'd like to designate, along with the Chamber and the County and the Town of Blacksburg, Saturday, November 28th, 2015, the Small Business Saturday. So I'll present that to you in the form of a resolution.
I move we adopt the resolution. Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. Councilman Bishop?
Aye.
Councilman Hall?
Aye.
Councilman Hubbard?
Aye.
Councilman Showalter?
Aye.
Councilman Stipes?
Aye.
Councilman Van Hoosier?
Aye.
Thank you. 6-0. Citizens' hearings. This time is open to all citizens that wish to come before council. I have on the agenda Laura Williams, Executive Director of NRV Cares. Ms. Williams.
Would you all prefer me to stand here or over there? You don't care? Okay, good. So thank you all so much for having me, and I really appreciate the invitation to speak tonight. My name is Laura Williams. I'm the new Executive Director for NRV Cares here in Christiansburg and for the New River Valley.
And some big shoes to fill.
I do have
Yes,
some
ma'am.
big shoes to fill, yes, very much so, and I'm real excited to see both Councilman Hall here and also Ms. Stipes, so thank you all so much for having me. And yes, big shoes to fill. I hope I can do them
I'm
justice.
sure you can. I'm sure you can.
I'm also here to thank you all so much for your support of NRV Cares through the town of Christiansburg and the work that we're doing through our programs. This past year, because of your support, we were able to provide services, resources, and education to more than 900 people in the town of Christiansburg. Of those, 31 parents and caregivers received support and resources through our parent education programs. 10 children had their voices heard in court with the help of a court-appointed special advocate. Additionally, we reached 862 children and adults and community members through our community education programs, such as Hugs and Kisses, the musical play that we do for elementary schools. We were able to do 2 of those programs at Falling Branch Elementary School this past year. And we were also able to provide Stewards of Children trainings, which is a child sexual abuse prevention training program for community members and professionals. So we thank you all so much for your help with all of that. I would also like to thank you all for your efforts to raise awareness during our April's Child Abuse Prevention Month. This past year, you all participated in Pinwheels for Prevention, the campaign that we do every April, displaying blue pinwheels throughout the county of Christiansburg, and especially here on the lawn of Town Hall. And you also displayed the Child Abuse Prevention Month banner on Main Street, which is a tremendous opportunity for raising awareness in our community. The support we receive from the town of Christiansburg makes a huge impact on children and families, but we still have a lot of work left to do in our communities. During the fiscal year of 2014, 387 children were found to be victims of child abuse and neglect in the New River Valley. During that same time period, 47 children in the state of Virginia died as a result of injuries sustained through abuse and neglect. Of that number, 35 children were under the age of 4. We have to continue to take steps to reverse this trend in violence against children in our community. Therefore, NRV Cares is continuing its annual tradition of the 12th Tree of Hope campaign that we do every December. And we are grateful to you all in the town of Christiansburg for its support of the campaign with the annual lighting of the town's tree located at the corner of Main and Franklin Streets. Thank you all so much for your continued support of the work that we do, for continuing to work to prevent child abuse in our communities and the work to strengthen families in our communities. I am very, very grateful and very honored to hold this position and be in the position that I am in, and I really do hope that I do it justice. So thank you all so much for your time, and of course I'm always available to answer any questions that you have. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here, and I think we'd love to hear that, you know, what we're trying to do with our policies of where we give back to the community and to organizations, entities, agencies. We'd love to hear, I think, I can speak for all of us when you tell us about how we're using that to the good of our community. And just, I know you mentioned Ms. Stipes, of course, with CASA, yes. and I love CASA, but you know, you're doing fantastic work with the parenting classes, with the CASA organization, with the right now I've got ones with Hat Bottom, Mike Souter, Tony De Lorenza. We have cases together, and they are just a godsend. More so when it comes to actually preventing child abuse and really getting the child's voice before the court. Those individuals, and all of them with CASA, are well trained and are just assets before the court. So thank you so much for all your work. Absolutely. I didn't mean to say you had big shoes to fill. I do. I know you can do it.
I'm very aware of that.
It's a wonderful organization. Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
And you do handle the decoration of the tree downtown? Is that it? Is that the one you planted, Barry? One downtown? Is that okay?
Yeah, it's our annual giving campaign.
Plant town. You didn't plant it yourself? I'm sorry.
Actually, First National Bank planted that tree about 30 years ago, with it being to be a community Christmas tree.
It's $5 a thing, isn't it? An ornament?
No, we don't do ornaments for that. What we do is our annual campaign is we send out a notification, a letter for the campaign, and it's our annual giving. So the tree is there to represent the campaign and to represent the raising awareness and raising support for our programs and the prevention of child abuse in our communities. So there's not a specific amount that anyone has to donate. It's just an opportunity for them to give one final gift before the end of the year.
Lord, one final question. The Pinwheels for Prevention, Mayor Barber and I were talking last year because you all had some issues off the Pacific Coast, I believe, with trying to get those into Virginia. Any such issues this year?
No, we are fully stocked and ready to go.
Good deal. And as far as if anybody in the community wants to purchase those pinwheels for the month of April, who would they contact, or how would they get a hold of you all to do that? Certainly
contact NRV Cares. You can call myself or Kelly Lichty, our Education Program Director. She oversees both our community education and parent education programs. It's also a program that our board of directors sponsors, so you certainly get in touch with any of our board members. But we can take orders as early as now. But we will officially kick off that campaign in January.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Next on the agenda, I have Coach Porter, Christiansburg High School cross country coach, to address council.
Thank you, Mr. Barrett. Members of the council, I'll try to keep it brief. I come here before you today. It's a very happy time for us. Both our boys and girls teams have qualified to go on and compete and represent the school and the town and community in the state championship cross country meet this weekend. We had been practicing an additional couple of weeks because of that, and probably wouldn't have run into the reason that I'm addressing you had we went ahead and had our season shortened. Last week, we had an incident on the Christiansburg portion of the Huckleberry Trail involving members of our high school girls cross-country team. We were not out there at the location where it happened. None of the coaching staff was there when it happened, but we learned about it afterward. We had an individual male, middle-aged individual exposing himself to young girls on the trail. Pretty traumatic for some of our athletes are 13, 14 years old. I have a son that age, so put that into context. And it was very troubling to hear, that this had happened. And we were contacting Christiansburg Police Department, and they were looking around the area, to ascertain if they could, figure out who the individual was, where they had come from, or anything like that. And long story short, they weren't able to do anything. And I just thought that, we had a conversation amongst myself, some of the other coaches, and parents, and I thought that I would come here on their behalf to speak to you all about some suggestions. The Blacksburg and Virginia Tech portions of the Huckleberry have emergency call boxes at regular intervals. I don't know, it's probably through some sort of security grant or something those were purchased, and I wondered if it may not be possible for the town of Christiansburg to look into funding or finding funding for such edifices to be added on the Christiansburg portion for equality's sake. Another suggestion was some sort of cameras to monitor entry point, exit points from the trail, not the entire trail, obviously. But we thought, had something like that been there where you could have went back and seen who entered and exited the area, they may have been able to find this person and get a potentially dangerous person off the streets of our town. I can tell you personally, nobody in the town of Christiansburg was probably more excited about the opening of the trail extension than we were people involved with the cross country program. It provides a very safe place for our kids to be. It gets them off the highway some, where we don't have to worry about the concerns of traffic and anybody getting lost on our training runs. And we're very, very excited about the opening of the bridge and the expansion of the trail. And I just thought that the parents and people involved in my program would like for me to come and address this to the council. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Coach. This is the citizens' comment section. Anyone that would like to address council, please feel free to come and do so. Address your comments to the chair, and we ask that you limit your comments to 5 minutes. Is there anyone else here to address council tonight? Hearing and seeing no one, I'll close that portion and we'll go into staff reports. Do we have anything, Barry?
That's
No staff reports. We may break that 42-minute record from the, I don't know, they haven't got now it's going to be, it's done, it's over. Discussion by mayor and council members, report on grant writer study. Mr. Helms.
at your place. I sent to the Institute of Government, asked all the localities through Ted Bobar for information on grant writers. Only got information from 3, Winchester, Galax, and Rocky Mount. Also contacted Blacksburg. From what's in front of you, this little fact sheet, Blacksburg does not have a grant writer. Usually the department director takes responsibility for applying for grants. 2 localities told me if they were to hire a person, there should be a grant writer, manager, and administrator, because most of the work comes after the grant's written. Keeping track of them is the hard part. You can see Rocky Mount hired someone, and then they canceled the program for lack of results. They outsourced it. Galax hired a grant writer and are very pleased. They were hoping for 5 times her salary in grants the first year, and it was over 20 times her salary. So they've had very good success with it. Grant writer, one suggestion is grant writer should be nationally accredited grant professional certified, credentialed. And another comment was positions be required to work. The position will be required to work with every department, and they recommended it be in administration because that would make them appear more neutral than if they were in another department. I don't necessarily totally agree with that. That was their comment. And NRV Regional Commission has purchased a 1-year subscription to Grant Finder, which is a searchable database for grants, and they have offered to look for grants for us. We tell them what topics, and also they can write grants for us if we can contract with them, and they have in the past. They've written several for us.
How do they charge for the contract for the grants, Mr. Helms? Is
I
it,
think it depends on the grant,
Depends on the amount of the grant.
how much work it's going to be, and
I noticed here where it says a lot
it's
of
not real expensive.
Okay. Because I mean, personally, when we got the information that I think Mr. Mayor Henry was the one that was pushing this out, and the Mayor and Brad responded as well. But I mean, in your opinion, looking at hiring someone or using we kind of have that. I hate to say, I mean, it's kind of a wonderful opportunity in our own backyard with the NRV Regional Commission. Is that what you would be leaning towards, or think would be best for us as a town? Contract out.
Yeah, that'd be very good. Also, if we hired one, there's lots of other things they could do.
Okay.
But probably the most efficient way to do it right now is go through the Regional Commission, yes.
Well, I like the comments that again that Henry and Brad have made, and made a lot of sense to me.
So Barry, let's say we get one of these grants, you're saying that we'll, like the department head would, or somebody in that department, whomever, well, whatever department that grant would fall under, or be considered to fall under, would have to follow up to make sure.
Well, the departments
Okay.
do it with a lot of help from Val. She's the
Okay.
one that officially, like for reimbursements, she files paperwork usually. Police department does a lot of their own, but yeah.
So,
Most other.
I guess what I'm curious about now, since it's a lot of work's done on the back end, and I think the regional commission, that's a great idea. I mean, and I talked to Kevin, and I think if we can present him, not every week, but a list on what we're working on and the possibilities, then it can come back to us per any time period, but not like every meeting send something to him. I guess I'm not clear, if it falls under Val or your department, do we have the staff to take care of the back end of these things? Because if we get 2 or 3, I mean, how many do we usually, not the police, of course, because they have their own individual. Do we have somebody who can, let's say we have 4 next year, which is odd, do we have somebody in her department?
We have how many right now?
Well, we got
How many
6 out of 8
grants we got right now?
last year.
Right, and we're good to go?
We've probably got 10 or 15 grants now.
All right, so there's,
We manage them. We could do a better job. It depends on what the
Skipping.
grant is. I mean, some grants take a lot of back-end work.
mhm.
They require monthly reporting, super detailed stuff. Other grants are like, just send me a report every 3 months and we'll send you your money. It's pretty straight up. They don't ask for documentation of everything. They rely pretty much on your audit. And that's the part that kind of falls on my end, is all the gathering the information and creating the grant file and making sure that it's all in place when the auditors come in and they do their auditing. Away they go, and hopefully everything works out. Now, if it's more agency or department related, where it's what's happening within a department that is more functional, that has to be done within the department. And even if you have a grant administrator, if it's a really functional type grant like that, it's hard to have anybody outside of the department administer it.
Ju-
I'm
Julie,
they
trying to
can
think of
track
a
it.
good example.
Well,
Are
the
they
downtown grant, engineering would be inspecting it and monitoring it and working as a contractor. But the grant administrator could keep track of the reports, how much money's spent, and that kind of stuff.
My concern is this, it seems like we're coming in a certain direction for the front end on where we're gonna, regional commission, we're interested in this, fine. you know, that's great. But I'm just curious, are we good on the back end? Because, I mean, Casey's here, I know we've talked about 6 or 7 grants. I mean, you just hear them coming out of things that you wouldn't even, I never knew about. I mean, that's a lot that we could just throw on a sheet and apply for them, and all of a sudden earmark funding for it in the next year. But the key is, I just want to make sure that, you know, maybe we've overlooked thinking about just having somebody get them, but also managing them down the road.
I think she's probably about maxed out as far as the number.
That's what I'm looking
But we
for.
are getting a lot of grants, all these enhancement grants for the trail and downtown, the state grants, revenue sharing essentially is a grant. You have to report and track. I don't think those are quite as bad. The revenue sharing ones aren't too bad.
No, those are pretty straightforward. It's not so much the financial part of it and putting the grant file together and keeping track of that. It's more the managing of the day-to-day activity. And it depends on what the scope of the grant is. What is it doing? If it's merely a construction grant, I don't think those are a real big deal, and it's a question of, does engineering have enough to manage it on that side? And from a departmental level, the people who are really gonna have to see day-to-day what happens with the grant, do they have enough staff to handle it? And is the grant going down the road that we want to go down? Is it a part of our goals and missions and things that we want to do? You don't want grants to take you off into a field just because you can get $500,000, but it doesn't really meet your overall goals and objectives. It's just sort of churning money. It doesn't really get you where you want to go. So you gotta have to watch for that. But you know, I think if we got a lot of these grants, yeah, we would probably have to hire some people to manage on the back end, just from a functionality, day-to-day standpoint.
And you probably, if you get to that point, you should be able to justify doing such a thing. But generally with the grants, you get a grant, and it particularly is very technical. You've got the technical people writing the status reports and stuff like that, and providing the information to the financial folks who generate the billing cycle and everything. Isn't that true?
Right, exactly. Pretty much the way it works.
And the other thing we have to watch is they require, most of them require a match.
Mhm.
You know, year before last, we turned down one grant from VDOT because we didn't have enough match.
I think we got 8 and we turned in 2, didn't we? Because we
Maybe
couldn't
it was
match.
8 too. So,
It's good.
Thank you.
I think most of these grants have an administrative, they provide some administrative relief for it from a
Well.
financial standpoint.
let's see, no, not,
Not really.
one of the responses I got talked about that said a few of the grants, they got money back for the administrator, but they didn't get enough back to cover her salary.
Okay.
Some don't have any administration money on them.
Okay.
But I think working with PD's or regional commission is the good way to continue at this point.
I just was out at the regional commission actually this afternoon, and mentioned that to Elijah Sharp and whatnot, and they were all about it, and they're really good at that. And one idea that we had was to talk about is maybe we have a bull session once or twice a year and talk about types of grants that we would like to pursue. And maybe it's not every week, but maybe quarterly or biannually, once or twice
absolutely.
a year. And we can do that with staff and include them, and because they're knowledgeable about the types of grants. And they, as you say, they're much more efficient, which means cheaper, and they're very good at it because they know what to say, and you know they're good at securing those. But that was one additional idea, is if council, and the staff would like to talk about what some of those opportunities are and help identify those.
And I take it the regional commission would use the Grant Finder program, that database, would be cost to us? As a-
No, they wouldn't charge us. Well,
Well,
no, they'll search it for free.
Right.
Writing the grant.
Absolutely, but as far as searching to see
Yeah.
what's available,
Yeah.
because a lot of those have kind of cycled through essentially.
Not a real cheap program to
I would imagine
Buy.
it's probably pretty.
subscribe to.
Well, and we contribute to the regional commission every year anyway, as part of the membership to it, so that would be. So, I think the thoughts of having a grant writer or a grant administrator are attractive. Are we at the point right now that we need one? Probably not. But, let's see, as we start developing, when the subcommittee for downtown Christiansburg business comes into play, and the farmers market next year may decide to look into some grant money and other things out. So maybe at some point in time we need to revisit this, or at least as they apply and it looks like we're going to get them, maybe to have someone that we can bring on as an administrator, depending on the workload. And I'm sure that Val could find other things for them to do in the interim.
Out of my mind.
No doubt, okay. Are we good at this point? Any other comments or questions about the grant writer? Okay, next is a discussion regarding electronic tablets for council's use. Adam?
In the budget, we had money to buy tablets, and Adam needs to figure out what you want to do with them and how you want to use them, so we know what kind to order. And so,
What's the cost per tablet?
Well, I can kind of get into that. And so, as you know, you could probably walk into Best Buy and you'll see tablets of all shapes and sizes. Do you mind if I sit while I do this?
That's fine.
You'll see tablets that are, $100. You'll see tablets that are $2,000. And we can spend as little, as much to accomplish.
Which one do you
the goal.
recommend from an IT perspective?
Well, typically what I would say with going into any project is, what are we trying to do? What problem are we trying to solve? What functionality are you looking to get out of them? Is it something that you don't want to have a printed agenda at your desk anymore? And we can, solve that by maybe just throwing it up on the projector. Is it something you envision taking home and doing all your emailing on it, constructing letters and that sort of thing? That would certainly put us in, very different scales, I guess, into, how much this is going to cost. So part of it is I need some feedback from you all. I love the idea of being able to standardize and say, okay, well, you would like a Windows tablet, you would like an Android tablet, and you would like an iPad or whatever. That makes it very difficult to be able to manage it across the board. So I'd love to be able to standardize. And so, and part of this is so I can kind of set some realistic expectations about what's going to, how you might be able to interact with them, that sort of thing. You'll be able to do a lot more on a $2,000 tablet than you will on a $100 tablet. So I guess I'll kind of throw it out there somewhat open-ended. What is it that you would like it to be able to do? Like, what are you hoping, a tablet is going to solve?
One of the questions I have just on the price side, the subscription that we'd have to have, our data subscription and all, what would that run on average per month?
So,
or is that going to be able to be grouped into what you currently have as a town?
Once again, depending on the tablet. So our monthly data, it's a Verizon contract. It's unlimited data of $40 a month.
Okay.
And so that's a pretty standard cost. That's per month per device. Now, once again, you could buy, and I'm going to use iPads just as a generic device for right now, but you could buy an iPad that has an Air card already built in, and they usually cost like an extra $100 or so. Or you could buy an iPad that doesn't have it built in. And so depending on how you want to be able to use your device, may determine which way you go. So if for the most part you all plan on using them here in council, using them in this room, for the most part all of our buildings have guest Wi-Fi access that you can hop onto, do emails, get all that stuff. But if you plan to be able to use it in, we'll say on the road, whether it's in a hotel or whatever coffee shop, it'd be the same as like using your Verizon smartphone or something like that. And so if you plan to use it that way, once again, quite a few different options about how we accomplish that. So And I don't know, maybe it'd be more appropriate for me to put together a whole bunch of, basically a menu that would say, hey, yes, I want that functionality. Yes, I need that functionality. And I can then come back. But without really knowing what I'm trying to do, I see on the table right now. I can't tell what it is. I think looks like an iPad or an Android.
iPad.
Okay. And so that would be the other thing is, are some folks already comfortable with iPads or more comfortable with Androids? I don't want to have to, try to, we'll say, maybe retrain on a different device if, everybody across the board says, oh, hey, I'm familiar with an iPhone and, an Android or whatever. Well, maybe we'll go in that direction because it'll be a less of a learning curve.
I'm on board with, if you would put a menu item together, send it to us,
Sure.
and then we get back to Adam what we're at. Because, some of us may want a keyboard, some of us may not.
And
things
that's
like
some
that.
of my other items, do you want to have an external keyboard attached to it? It's interesting. Tablets have really increased. I constantly get requests for them. And a lot of times I start the conversation the same way is, okay, what are you trying to do with it? What problem do you have that you're trying to solve? For the most part, I think tablets are great consumption devices, great for reading emails, great for surfing on the web, great for, reading, documents, that sort of thing. They typically struggle when creating stuff. Not saying that you can't do it, but especially when you're going with an iPad or an Android or that sort of thing, they don't really have, your full featured apps or your applications that you're used to on a home computer or a laptop. They don't really always have, full-blown Microsoft Word, full-blown Microsoft Excel. That's not to say you can't get some of that same functionality. It's just slightly different. And so that's where some of that training may end up coming into play. So I can certainly do that. I can put together a menu item. I can put a menu together. So I would like to have an external keyboard. I do want to be able to use it in a coffee shop, away from the office or whatever. I want to be able to get my email on it. I just want to replace what's on my desk. I want to be able to come in, sit down at the table, push a button, and your agenda packet is right there. We can also do something like that, so they never leave the desk, they sit there. And we come in, we update them before the meeting, so your agenda packet's right there, you just flip as you go through. So,
I would think the menu list would work great, but don't send me one, send one to Harry.
And also, can you determine to come in a flip phone edition?
I'll see if I can find
Thank
it.
you.
The what edition?
Flip phone. So,
Is there anything that is just standing right out that we know we can either cross off or, do most of you have the expectation to be able to take them home and read your email on it and that sort of thing?
I'll go ahead and quickly say, I've just been of interest for a couple of years. I think, and I visit a lot of localities in my day job, and that's where everyone's at. I know for me during meetings and you have some public hearings, and I'm just one person, I just don't want any more paper. And I want to be able to search previous meeting minutes, have immediate access to previous actions, and basically, 100, in my case, it would be 100% town use, simply to not have paper and have quick access to past. I've got stacks of paper at home, we all do, stacks of paper that I don't want to throw away, but I don't need and I don't really want, but someone put the time and effort to put it together.
Sure.
And it's, we all have that, but just speaking for me, it would just get away from paper and have instant access to previous actions and being able to see presentations. Like you say, you use the word consumptive. That would be me, and strictly to use for that type of thing, paperless.
Sure.
And that would frankly be exactly where I'm at as well. I don't need any bells and whistles at all. I don't know if I need a tablet because I have a lot of paper too, but I don't really use technology all that much. But I was thinking though, like when we were being mailed this year, quite a few individuals had it via mail, and they were able to utilize that during the meetings as well, which of course just logged onto the external, the Wi-Fi there at the hotel.
Sure.
But I don't think what Brad said, I can't think of anything else I would need. Emails, obviously access to our minutes and our materials. documents. I don't know if there's a lot of other things I would need at that point.
Okay.
I would think, in hopes of always being prepared for coming to council meeting, you need to be able to have that information at your disposal wherever you're at, not just here.
Sure. Okay.
And
That's got it.
some of us have been printing out, pages 36 through 44 of the agenda packet. I don't have a printer at home,
Right.
and, if you have it just in one place, that is the town. That would be the town business to me, is not paper, but have everything you
Sure.
need,
Mm-hmm.
and that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, we tend to kill a lot of trees. I've just looked at through
That's last month,
through
right?
of what we've done since January 1. There's books and books, and I'll be honest, I don't think any of the previous two mayors ever threw away a piece of paper anywhere. I've got stuff stuck in drawers and I have no idea. Same that runs back into the 70s. I don't want to throw it away because I don't know how important it would be. But I think to be able to have, and particularly to have the agenda packets, because they can run anywhere from 2 pages to 140 pages, and there's just to be able to scroll through those, and even to have it up on the board as we're going through these things, up on the viewer, just to be able to see, and then we can scroll forward and scroll back if we need to. That's pretty much just a basic, the email, the.
Okay. So email is something.
I think, I don't know about the rest of you.
Yes.
I think the menu item, if Adam sends it out to us, and when we get back to him, there's going to be items that everybody wants, and then only one person wants.
Right.
And then I would expect you to narrow it down. Well,
Try
these
to
are the most
consolidate.
popular, and this is what we can put in there.
Adam,
I
what's
like
the,
that. And there might be some stuff you're not considering
That's
right
true.
over the past 10 minutes that you might want
Okay.
on your tablet.
How long would these, let's say we went with something like this, how long, like a lifespan are we looking at as well? A couple of years, and then it'd have to be upgraded or have to swap them out for newer models?
Still out on that one.
I know it's always an exponential curve.
As soon as you buy it, it's going to be
That's right.
obsolete. We know that.
Right. So a lot of the, we'll call it, policies that I've seen around it has mostly been when it's stopped being useful, I suppose, meaning that, it can no longer keep up with, it can no longer do what you need it to do, or, it dropped and broke or whatever.
I guess the reason I was asking is that, like, for instance, on a council 4-year term, I would imagine it would last a 4-year term, wouldn't it?
I would hope so.
Part about the limit. But
Yeah. And once again, a lot of that depends on the software manufacturer.
right.
I'll say we had a tablet that was 3 years old. A new update came out to it, and it killed the Verizon Air card in it. That operating system on it was no longer supported on that old of a device. And so we found a workaround or whatever, but, once again, sometimes it's the software manufacturer that's pushing that stuff. So, but I would hope to get at least a few years out of them.
I think the interesting concept, if you had an average cost of a unit, and just say you used the mid-range, but also the annual cost to keep the $40 per unit, because that runs up a little bit too. If it's $40 per unit per month, that's $240, $300 a month, right there.
Was there anyone here at this table that doesn't have Wi-Fi at home? Is that of interest? Okay. Well, I mean,
I can power it in on my neighbors, but I don't broadcast
I that's actually probably something I would have taken for granted.
Right.
Is that, everybody's got Wi-Fi at home, but I would
Well,
be incorrect.
that's my wife.
Sorry.
maybe, most of us wouldn't need the data service,
Yeah.
because wherever we be, there'd be Wi-Fi, whether it be here or
Right.
at home.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
That's a good point.
Okay,
Okay.
couple of weeks.
Sure.
Ish.
I'll probably try to do something like a Survey Monkey or something like that. It makes it easier to collect the results. and
Okay.
Send them out.
Thanks for bringing this, I think it'd be great
Sure.
for what brand I don't think is immaterial or whatever you'd recommend, but if we all have the same thing, if it gets us all
Right.
paperless, I think it's very Thank you, Adam.
Max?
Is Survey Monkey good? Is that all right?
Survey Monkey's cool.
Yeah.
I've used that a couple times.
You can't miss it.
You have to
I'm
come here
kidding, I
and
have,
say,
I have used it.
Adam, the things that you have on your lap, were they to show us, or that's just what yours is?
This is another one that I've been testing, playing around with, whatever you want to call it. We'll say it's on the much higher end scale. It's a Microsoft Surface. You see commercials or whatever. And so, once again, on the much higher end, I'm thinking about trying to use it as my desktop replacement. It is much more functional, but much more expensive.
Thank you.
You get a pretty basic group here. None of us is Zuckerberg, you know?
All right. Thank you, Adam. Barry. Council reports. I'm gonna go this way. Mr. Stipes.
I have nothing to report, but thanks, Mayor.
Mr. Showalter.
Another Central Business District Advisory Committee meeting tonight, very successful. We're having one Tuesday, so if you want to drop by, if you have nothing to do next Tuesday.
And they've been invited to the planning commission meeting
On Monday.
night.
So we got Monday, Tuesday, a lot of stuff going on. So definitely, if you have time Tuesday, stop by. If you feel like, if not, just give me a reach out. I would like us, and I think I sent this email out to everybody, is we're having a meeting Thursday this week.
Thursday and Thursday.
Sounds like we're all in agreement for the regional, or the regional commission to look into grants. And Brad, that's a great idea to have a couple, or two, biannual bull sessions about what grants, the committee, your committee might be looking into something that that you would want to bring up. But I would like to include, I know we got a lot going on. If we have time, I'm going to reach out to my committee members to see what we would like the regional commission look into, and possibly if everybody could kind of jump out there. Sam, I know you just got certified for some tourism grants coming up. If you could reach out and see exactly what we could put on that list, that would help out. But I'd like to tackle that just for a little bit on Thursday. Not spend a lot of time on it, but just so we can get a list for Barry to send to Kevin.
By Thursday.
Yeah. Yeah, just reach out.
You mean this
Simple
Thursday,
email.
2 days?
Yeah, simple email. And just, Coach Poor's here, a couple ideas, and it's really up to council whether, I would like the at least Chief Citizen to look into, at least tell us what options are out there for entrance, exit cameras, or emergency boxes, or if there's grants, since they do have a grant writer on staff. And it's really up to council, but I would like for us to at least explore that. Doesn't mean we have to do anything, but to sort of gain some knowledge on what's available out there. Because we did have some graffiti on our new bridge right before it opened up, and things of that nature. So it would be nice, sort of be looking down the road if we do have to put something out there. Is that okay?
Sure. I'd probably like to reach out to the school and see what the school and the coaching staff are willing to do to assist us in this. Okay.
I think there's, one call box on the trail right now. And I think it's more over there in Tech's area, right?
Yeah, I was thinking when he said there's call boxes and stuff, I burned that thing up, and I've only remember Marty saying there's more than that.
I can just, the one that's over there right past,
Right between the, near the tennis complex.
that's right, yeah.
Bottom of the hill.
But we can see what's out there.
Where
Yeah,
else,
I think an issue
where else
would
do
be-
they have them, Marty?
Along the track, coming out of the property at Smithfield and coming down.
In my,
Oh, okay, off of the connectors.
I'll
Not
follow
so
up
much, yeah.
with
Gotcha.
Brad Epperly. I've been forwarding him some emails that I've been getting. I picked up a contact last year at VML, and it's the blue light type thing. They're not, I do understand from Brad that it's just not, set the thing up, and he's got to do some wiring and some digging, so it's running to the expense of it. But I did see somewhere that there was solar operated, solar powered. But anyway, I'll touch base with
They're
Brad.
basically cell phones, I think.
It's what?
I think it's basically a cell phone and the blue lights there. They're solar powered, but so you have to pay a cell phone fee, but that's
Okay.
Mike, and I appreciate, that's a great idea, but what's being communicated to the athletes and, you know, maybe that's something the chief could look into to get our resource officer to meet with. I mean, you have cross-country, indoor track, outdoor track that occurs one occurs each season. Maybe they can reach out to them, have a group meeting. You know, here's some of the things, if something like this happens, what should you do? I mean, educate the students on, and, you know, I'm sure Coach Porter, he took time out of his busy day to come down here. Definitely,
It's
see if
important.
the chief could go out there or have the resource officer meet with them after school. Here's, educate them on what you can do, what you should do, what we're looking for and things like that. I think that would be a great initiative on there.
Another point on that too, it is getting dark so fast. It's getting dark by like 5:15, and I imagine some of those kids are still out there. Even somebody sprains an ankle or something like that, and it may be nice to have something like that around.
It amazed me that they didn't have a cell phone.
It
It was over an hour before the police department was notified.
Right, and that's one of the things you can touch on. It doesn't hurt to pass, but I mean things happen not only on the Huckleberry Trail, but when you're out in the those distance runners go everywhere. So what to look for, what to, maybe make sure one person has a cell phone, things like that. Stay with a buddy. That was part of our theme on our Huckleberry Hustle. Always be with somebody. So.
The other thing I have is, if you remember last meeting, I proposed that we have a little send-off for Jim at Amelia's on December 22nd at 5 o'clock. And then I called them, and they are already booked up. So then I called the Aquatic Center, and she said that'd be fine. And so she's booked us up. And so if it's all right with everybody, that's where we're going to go. We'll meet at the Aquatic Center at 5 o'clock and have a little pizza and something to drink, and then come over here around 6:30, 6:45.
Is that on the mayor's dime?
Do what?
Now we got to wait
Send it
15 minutes to swim after
Okay,
that.
but this ear stopped. We'll get it taken care of one way, shape, or form.
That's a good idea.
You'll have to negotiate with Terry.
We'll look it up. We'll look it up.
What date was that, Mr. Mayor?
22nd of December.
December 22nd.
5 o'clock.
And we'll be sending notices out. Okay, Mr. Van Hoosier, short time.
Well, we did have another stormwater stakeholder meeting yesterday, and we are making progress, and a couple more meetings, and then we'll be able to bring it to council and probably request a work session to go over it, so they can go back and do some finalizing, looking at it before it goes to public hearing and so forth. But it's a spirited discussion, and we've made a lot of progress.
Very good. You know that term doesn't end when you step off council.
Well, I know that because it don't get presented until
No, I mean ongoing.
Oh, okay.
It's a gift. That's a gift that keeps on giving, Jim.
I've enjoyed that committee. It's been a good one.
That's why we're going to miss you so much, Jim, because you.
We're ready to give you a 10-year emblem.
Mr. Hall?
The Truman Wilson, the master plan, we have that work session this Thursday at 6 as well. Looking forward to that, and hope members of the public can be present. One thing also to note that it hasn't been mentioned yet is that when the police department was called on in regards to the individual exposing themselves on the Huckleberry Trail, our police department stepped up once again and provided extra patrols and is continuing to do that. So again, once they are notified, they were on the offensive, and I think Captain Ramsey helped to organize and orchestrate that with extra patrols to keep our kids safe. So again, a lot of appreciation to the police department. The sewer committee meeting we have scheduled for the 18th of this month on a Wednesday. I called Councilman Showalter, and unfortunately I've had something that's come up, and I know that's already been advertised, I believe, and I've talked with him about maybe moving that to the first Wednesday in December. I think it's the 2nd, if memory serves. Actually, I'll tell you right now exactly.
Yeah, it is.
And that's my fault. I have something else scheduled that I was unaware of at that particular time. But other than that, that's all I had to report.
Okay. Councilman Bishop?
I don't have anything.
Very good. I've got a couple of things. November the 19th, I believe it to be a Thursday. There is a ribbon cutting that the chamber has asked me to appear at, and I am already booked. It is at 12 o'clock, and if anybody is available that would like to handle that ribbon cutting for me, it's a new insurance company agency that's opening up. So if I have anybody that would be free that day from at noon to appear on the town's behalf, just let me know and I'll give you the details on it.
I can do that because I got a finance committee meeting at church that night also, so my days.
Your day's short?
No, it'd be
Can
good.
you take it?
Yeah.
All right. Very good. I'll get you the what fors and the what ones. As a reminder, I sent out an email yesterday. The Veterans Day Parade is tomorrow. It will start around 10:30. Should end at the town square by 11-ish. And there'll be a couple of presentations, but the one I wanted to remind you of is that working with the county, we are dedicating that particular part of the square as Veterans Monument Park. The sign will be up tomorrow. We will unveil it tomorrow. The whole thing, probably, you're not looking at about more than 30 minutes from the start of the program. There is a guest speaker, and I think the bands are going to be there and some things, but they'll place a wreath. But if you are able to come by, we'd love to have you as representing the town and supporting us in this naming of it to Veterans Monument Park.
That's 10:30 sharp tomorrow.
The parade starts at 10:30. Now, it will, it's a lot of old veterans walking. But they only walk up to the square, to the courthouse square. So they're supposed to start at 10:30 and finish up in the 11 range, and it usually holds pretty true to that. So if you're in the office tomorrow and want to slip down, that's fine. We'd love to have all of you.
Where can I ask?
Sure.
I would like to come tomorrow. If we're going to sort of hang out together, where would that be? Where are you going to be?
The monument.
At the monument itself.
Yeah,
so you'll watch the parade there and then the follow-up ceremonies after that, correct?
Right, the parade will basically, for the most part, ends, I think, at the end of near Hickok Street.
Sometimes, well, it depends on.
Depends.
It has gone as far as
but the
Methodist
veterans
Church.
and most will start assembling in and around the town square around 11.
Okay.
And it would be good. It's I don't know whether you all saw the sample sign or the actual sign that was presented. It may have been a staff meeting, but it is a very, very nice sign. They did a nice job with it. I hadn't figured out how Barry's going to pay for it yet, but we'll worry about that when the time comes. So, a couple other things that I will mention to you. This Veterans Day, I think the high school is going to feed veterans and their families. They normally do right after the parade or within 30 minutes. And something new was called Commonwealth Assisted Living, formerly Wheatland Hills. They are doing a ceremony. They have 19 veterans that are residents of Wheatland Hills. And they're going to do some type of a ceremony at 2 o'clock honoring the veterans. And I think each veteran gets a pin and a hat for the branch of service that they served in. And they're creating a wall of fame that they're going to dedicate to the veterans now and future veterans that have lived there. Again, it's from 2 to 4.
That's great idea.
It really is. Robin Stoner, Kevin's wife, called me on it, and they've asked me to do a small part in it. So I think we're going to do that, and it's amazing. I know that I got a call this morning from a fellow. They got the Crossings. He's going to bring a busload of veterans over that are residents there. So they're starting to make a lot more effort to get the veterans out and about. So I think that's really good. So I think that's about all I have. Mr. Helms, town manager's report?
Have a conditional use permit for automobile upholstery with storage of no more than 5 inoperable vehicles at 930 Roanoke Street. I'd like to set that for the 22nd of December.
You said that was, what was that again? That was.
Conditional use permit for automobile upholstery with storage of no more than 5 inoperable vehicles at 930 Roanoke Street. I think some of the onesie-three upholstering are pretty rough shape, so.
I think Christiansburg must be the capital of the universe for auto body shops.
I think you're right.
It doesn't seem to me, well, I mean, we could all discuss this, but I would just,
Right.
a personal observation, if the vehicle was inoperable, why the heck you gonna put upholstery in? But anyway,
Something out there
What
that
day is that
lost
set
people.
for?
The 22nd of December.
You guys see that, right? That's
22nd December?
Yes.
So moved.
have a motion?
second.
Motion and a second, any further discussion? Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. Councilman Bishop?
Aye.
Councilman Hall?
Aye.
Councilman Hubbard?
Aye.
Councilman Showalter?
Aye.
Councilman Stipes?
Aye.
Councilman Van Hoosier?
Aye.
I believe that to be 6-0. Thank you, ma'am.
That's 22nd. We could just move Jim's thing over there.
We can get him an upholstered car seat to take over.
That's all I have, sir.
Is that all you have? Well, before it gets totally out of hand, you're gonna quit while we're ahead, is that right? Anything else? I do want to compliment the rec department on a great Huckleberry Hustle and Truck for Treat. It's not order, it was Truck for Treat. It was amazing. Brad estimated probably 500 kids came through that thing. 70 runners. It was a great success. And we had, from the young side of the council table, we had 3 councilmen that took part in it, either walking or running, and I won't identify which did which, but we were there and had a good time with it. So I think it's going to be I think they're pretty much going to make this an annual event.
The pancakes were great. I was there for pancakes. That's what got me out.
Pumpkin pancakes. But anyway, if you see Brad or any of the other rec departments, if you would congratulate them on them. Had Scoop out in the parking lot.
Yeah.
I don't know whether you're directing traffic or
He
scooting
was.
with kids, but you did something.
You did a good job. I would have wandered around a little bit longer if it wasn't.
T-shirts were great.
I'm waiting on a motion.
I so move.
Second.
All those in favor, get up and leave. We're done.
All right, Mayor, I need a headline on